Hello, lovely listeners. We have got a returner on the podcast today. So Sarah, hi, why don't you just introduce yourself before I say what brought us here?
Okay, hi, hello. I am Sarah Hall. I'm a life coach, a time coach, and a time hacker. So I have my own business where I help people to make changes in their professional life and their personal life. And until recently, until in fact, I think today, I've also been a time hacker coach, providing coaching as part of the time hacker one-to-one coaching program. And as I say, I'm also a time hacker, 2 years in, I think, and a lifelong time hacker.
You're also a mum
I am.
and a partner, and she's going on holiday on Saturday, so good for you.
Yes, I am. I have two boys, and I'm going on holiday with 15 of my extended family, my in-laws, on Saturday.
No, I actually, before you even go into the business stuff, I actually am so impressed. So Sarah was just telling me how different people book it each time. So you've gotten away with like not booking anything. You just get to show up and she
Yes.
doesn't even know exactly where she's going. And I love that so much. It's such an example of like the time hacker mindset and what we teach of like not having to carry everything in your own brain.
Yes. Yeah. I did actually book my flights, but apart from the airport that I'm going to, I don't actually know where I'm going to beyond that. So it'll be an adventure.
It is an adventure. I love that. So we got an email from Sarah a week or two ago that was essentially saying that, thanks for the opportunity. It's been great, but she's now fully booked as a coach in her own business and doesn't have the capacity to work for us as a coach anymore, which is obviously um sad for us. But overall, I mean, I think you saw this in mine and Ailsa's reply. We were like, actually 90% super excited for you. And I said to you, will you come on the podcast and talk about it? Because for those of you listening, like Sarah certified a year ago.
Yeah.
Um, and we were just checking the timeline before we spoke. When you actually signed up, you were still fully employed in a full-time job. It was only when the program started that you left your job and went all in on your business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's amazing that within 1 year you have become fully booked out. So why don't you speak a little bit about that for you? Like, was this even a goal that you had? I just saw your post about the impossible.
Mm.
Like, was this a specific goal that you had? How does it feel being in that future success that maybe one day you dreamed about?
Yes, yes, this has definitely been a goal
Yeah.
that I have, have attempted and not achieved every time I've attempted it. And um, and also interestingly, like I've noticed over the last few months, my brain has been moving the goalposts on the goal. Like I've had the goal of being fully booked.
Yes.
And potentially like I could have decided I was there earlier than now, but my brain is
Okay.
like, yes, but no, like, what does actually fully booked mean? But like I've definitely got to the point where my brain can't move the marker along any further and I am just completely fully
Amazing.
booked. So yeah, it has been a goal. I think it wasn't my initial goal when I started my business, like obviously to build a successful, viable business, but I think my initial goal, I think actually now that I'm thinking about the timeline, was when we started the certification in the January was when I left and I went full time. And we also did date your goal, date my goal
Yes.
that January, and my goal was 5 clients.
Yes.
And I achieved that. I signed 5 clients in the January as part of
In
the
the January when we started the
yeah,
certification.
yes,
That
yes.
is fun.
And I think like I remember a time where I was like, that was kind of where I was, like 5 clients, and that like I was maintaining that. And then it sort of got up to like more 8 to 10, and then like 14 to 15. And at some point then the goal became right. More specifically, the idea to be fully booked. Like I think from the start of my business, I decided that this is what I'm going to sell, and I'm going to sell this until I'm fully booked. So that was always an intention, but the kind of active working on it as a goal has kind of evolved, as I've kind of done it in stages.
This is it completely. Firstly, I just need to pause and let everyone rehear that you set the goal in January when we started certification to create 5 clients, and you did it through, the date your goal process, which is not actually part of the certification. It's part of Time Hackers or a bonus. We might start to sell it separately, but I think when you are like the living, breathing embodiment, you are doing the work, like amazing things happen. So just celebrating that I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
But the other thing we spoke about is we really get to define what fully booked means. And I'm so intrigued to hear like how your definition of that has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, so at one stage it was definitely about like 20 clients. 20 clients was what I decided was fully booked. And then sort of as I work with most people weekly, but then I have like a couple of people who I see fortnightly, one client who I see monthly. So then my brain's like adding them up as like weekly clients versus actual clients. So then like, well, I've got 18 clients, but it's 14.5 weekly clients. And I'm like that. And then like, okay, so but who says 20 is actually the number? And I have these spaces here. And also like if I know this person wants to work with me and I want to support them, it's like always looking for like ways to not be like, yes, I've just done it. Because then it sort of started to be like, well, really what I want is to be fully booked and booked in advance. And, so like I just noticed it doing that a lot, like trying to move me away and like counting it up. Like, and like literally now it's something like 23 or 24 clients that works out as like 21.25 weekly clients. So my brain's like doing all this maths about it rather than be like, just achieve the goal.
Yeah, so which is so fun. And now you are fully booked for a few months out, which is
Yeah.
super fun, just to explain to people. So you've like ticked all the definitions that your brain set and overachieved in all of them.
Yes.
And I think the other thing though that you subtly said there that I think is so valuable for people listening is your flexibility. Like, so I don't know if you know this, you probably do, that I'm doing this mastermind right now for some of our time coaches to grow their business. It's the first time I've offered it, and one of the big things that I'm seeing, because I'm getting exposed to different conversations or what's going on, is this like these rules that we inherit when we're following like a business coach when we first start out, and they say you have to offer the same thing exactly the same way, exactly the same price, and no flexibility and no payment plans and no, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And what I've loved that you've just shared, which is how I was when I did my business too, is that like dance that we even spoke about in the certification. It's the same with your business. So share a little bit about like, why do you think you've been so successful? That's one thing I definitely see. I also obviously know you're an amazing coach. You've got amazing tools, and I do think you're solving a real problem. But like from yourself, let's just sit in that. Why do you think you've been so successful?
Well, I do think the flexibility is important. Yeah, we see that, and like, and Time Hackers has been really supportive of that thinking for me. Is that like what actually works for me, making my own decisions, and looking at like what's effective rather than ways we're supposed to do something, which is like at the heart of time hacking, isn't it? Like rather than there are these systems that you follow, it's like what works for you. So I've definitely followed that. A lot. And I mean, I think really ultimately it always does come back to the time hacker method. If you think about like the decisions that I've been willing to make, the amount of decisions that I've made, the fact that I've been willing to do things imperfectly and to go towards fear and failure. And then all the way through that, the way that I've managed my mind. I was talking to a friend the other day and I was telling her that I was fully booked. That'd been my goal for ages. And I've decided I've finally done it. And she was saying, oh, has it been hard? And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. It's been hard. And she said, did you ever think you've done the wrong thing? And I surprised myself because my answer was just immediately, oh, no, I never had that thought, which I just thought was interesting because I'd had all kinds of other thoughts, like little doubt about like doing this thing or that person. But ultimately, overall, like I'd never really let myself question the idea, like, am I doing the right thing? And I think like, because fundamentally I know that that's not a thing. Like it's not right or wrong. It's just, this is what I'm doing. That's always the thought that I've had, is this is what I'm doing. And then I manage all those other thoughts that come up. So definitely, the 3 pillars of time hacking, and then also support as well. So the support in time hackers and the certification. And I've just completed a business mastermind, and I've always been getting coached, like whether that's, I use the time hackers one-on-one coaching program. I also, we coached each other through the certification. Like, I never have had that much coaching in 4 to 6 month period. And I work with my own one-to-one coach as well.
Yeah.
So the support and that investment has been important too.
Yes, I think that's one of the big like side benefits of going through our certification, because it is so like resource, like so coach heavy, in terms of like, you're not just learning the theory, we're implementing it, you're coaching, you're getting coached, you're coaching each other one-on-one, you're coaching inside the community. There's a lot of like evaluation and opportunities to learn, which also means there's a lot of opportunities to coach and get coached and observe coaching.
Yeah.
And I do think that in itself is like, it's kind of like a mastermind for coaching, if that makes sense, and a mastermind for time hacking, I would say.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking before, is that Date Your Goal isn't part of the certification, but it's also integrated, isn't it? Because in the certification, you're applying the tools. And so in my mind, it's hard to separate the two, because it's all one thing. So you get all the benefit of the time hacker tools, and you're just applying them at a deeper, like more intensive level during the certification.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the other thing that I'm hearing, just to share back with you, is, so when you join our certification, you get access to the tools, like the time hacker tools. Those are the core tools, and then you use them yourself, and then you certify in them to help other people. And I think that because you are using the tools yourself for yourself, when you are selling, it's not like, oh, hi, here's this like mug that I bought that you should definitely get, but I don't use it myself, but I bought it once and didn't use it. It's like, this is the mug that I use every single day. It's my favorite mug. Like, it keeps my drink warm or cold or whatever it might be. Like, this is like a china cup that like one of my great aunties got me for my 18th birthday. And even though I've lived all over the world, like, I knew when I moved into my own house, I just wanted it. And I still have it. Like I can speak about that mug honestly and be like, get this mug, or like create this kind of memento, because it's not really about the mug, is it? And I think that's it. It's like, when you are selling from living like authentically, then of course it works out. And that's why I also love how you get to be a student and a coach at the same time.
Yes, because thinking about it, so I joined in the summer when I was starting my business. And I, at that point, was still working full time, and we started the certification then a few months later. And for that first few months where I had access to the program, I was really applying that to my daily life and to my work life. So that then when it came to January and I did decide to go full time in my business, I was then applying it in that area as well. But I'd had that kind of intensive few months of what was a really busy time in my full-time job. And, it's always busy time parenting.
Yes.
So there's always stuff happening there. So yeah, I think, and so thinking about it, then that time hacker method has been there throughout the whole time that I've been setting up my business from the beginning. It was already there a little bit because I'd listened to the podcast for a long time, followed your work before as well, so it was already there. But I think that was really important, then having that few months of kind of intensive being a student with it.
Yes. And another memory that I have, or like one of the things that I remember the last few months, is you sharing something like maybe on LinkedIn or Facebook with an email with someone that was like, I don't know what this time hacker like malarkey is, but it's like magic or something. So can you share a little bit about your experience coaching others using this method?
Yes, because obviously that's like such a benefit of certification, because I was certified as a coach before I came to Time Hackers. I'd already like, started to coach people, but then certifying in this method then enabled me to bring that into my coaching and to share the tools and to do that really explicitly and kind of share about Time Hackers, which is really fun. And yeah, I do remember that specific client. We were coaching on decisions.
Yes.
And just on the kind, she had this huge breakthrough about the amount of time that she spent not deciding, and like the impact on a whole week of not having decided whether or not she was going to go to her parents' house at the weekend, and she just kind of saw all that created for her. And I just presented her with that idea of like, what if you just practice just like being a decision ninja, like just making decisions, like what would that create? And she just like okay, and she went away and tried it and just like completely changed her day, completely changed her week. And she's like, yeah, I don't know what this time hack malarkey is, but I am a different person.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think about this, like I'm always trying to like quantify it for people. I had a new time hacker on the podcast a few months ago, and we had this conversation on the podcast as well, where I'm like, I can't, it's like, so we have the 20 hours back blueprint where you get 20 hours back every week. And it sounds insane to people. They're like, you could not give me 20 hours back. Like, what? Like, it's such an insane thing. But it's actually, I think, an underestimate of what we create because of those things where it's like, this one decision. I think holidays are also a great example. People are like thinking about all the aspects of the holiday and where I should go. And I had someone was it someone on the podcast? Yes, on the podcast this week from our current certification round who said like she's booked 3 mini breaks in the time that it would have taken her to like still be thinking about one holiday. So it's like, if you give like an hour accidentally every day to thinking about that one decision, you've got like 17 decisions like that. And giving an hour every day, that's like 17 times 5. And that's just the time that you're thinking about it, not the time that like it's slowing you down and distracting you and you're starting and stopping. And like, we're so ineffective with our time, not because we've done anything wrong. I just want to say that, but because we really have never been taught how to be and how to manage our brain and how to make decisions, that there is so much excess time to get back. But we really don't see it because we come to this so time poor. Like, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a totally different way of thinking, isn't it? That we've just not been given the idea that we have to weigh things up and think things through. Is like that's what we're taught, is that there's a value in that. And so to be able not only to kind of to have the idea of like, what if you just made decisions? What if you can't get it wrong? Like that idea, but also like to see the benefit of that, like to actually see what it's costing you to kind of to be going back and forth is so valuable. And it's very simple, but it's powerful because, like as you say, we've not been taught it. We've been taught the opposite.
Yeah, like I even actually, why don't you share about like your decision-making process to even join Time Hackers and maybe even the certification, and how your decision-making process has evolved from like the beginning to now?
Yes. So if I think back to like before I actually did decide
Yes.
what my process was there, is that I had definitely, and I think we've spoken about this before, been in that like, oh, well, I'll do that when I have more time or when it's a better time. And that it, definitely it's on my list. It's like, definitely something that I want to do. But it's not the right time now for whatever reason. So that was my sort of non-decision making process. And I think the work that I'd done as a coach previously and your influence through the Time Hackers work that I was engaging with it then did help me to make the decision. Like when I saw that you were offering certification, I think that was the thing that made me decide, I definitely want to do this. And we spoke about that last time I was on the podcast, of listening to the previous graduates on the podcast and them talking about the experience and me being like, oh, I really want that experience. Like, I want to do that. So there was that point that I did then make the decision instantaneously, and I wasn't really kind of aware of it, that was the process. But then through the time hacker work, I became more aware of it, like, that we just make the decision in the instant. And that was the instant that I decided, right, I'm gonna do that. And from there I was all in and committed. And I've just built on that since then. And being a student, being a time hacker is like, I just know that what moves me forward is when I'm just willing to decide. So my goal is always to make as many decisions as I can as fast as possible. But then I still have all of the, like, I was thinking about what I was thinking when I did sign up and what that was like, because I made the decision, but then I did obviously then have lots of thoughts and feelings about it. And I remember like feeling a bit sick about the idea of like, what am I doing? Which I think was really about putting myself in a process that I knew was going to be challenging, and also just revealing of kind of thoughts that I had about myself and my ability to, I think because I, had seen the coaches coming off the previous certification, and was kind of thinking that am I not at that standard? Do I have that confidence? Do I have that charisma? Like just thoughts about myself, not just as a coach, but as a person, I suppose. Like it just reveals that, because the decision making doesn't take that away, does it?
No.
Yeah. But I was willing to decide. I didn't like consider that, okay, I'm not going to do it because of those things. Just that, yes, that's part of the process.
Which is like such a time hack. That's literally it. I have an email going out today. I don't know when this podcast will go out, because we're closing applications for this round on Thursday, because we're pretty full. And but if you are listening, by the way, you can always apply for the next round. So like you don't need to wait. We always have people apply in the interim when we're not live launching. But what I've written is like 95%, because I've been interviewing a lot of our current graduates, and this is it, right? It's like, I think so often we're like, oh, if I'm gonna do this, I have to feel like 100% certain, and like it has to feel amazing. And it's like typically a growth opportunity, or doing anything new, or like listening to your desire when potentially like other people around you in your day-to-day life aren't doing what you're doing, is going to, and especially like investing in yourself, even like as a mum, we've had people be like, I'd spend this money on my kids, but it's really hard to spend it on myself. The time thing, like the whole concept of the email is like 95% of our coaches didn't have the time, money, or like were too worried what other people would think to sign up, but they still did it anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think that it's there's that, like the feeling is there. And it's that programming that we have about like the right and wrong thing, isn't it? That like it should feel right, and that's what tells me that it's right. And therefore, if I'm feeling this, if I'm feeling sick, then that's telling me that it's wrong. But like if there is no right or wrong, then that's not even a thing to begin with. But also it's like just sort of retraining your brain to like, well, what if that's a positive indication that when I'm feeling like that, I'm on the right track.
Talk more about that.
So, I mean, I think just through experience, I've learned that is the case, that the things that I feel sick about usually end up being pretty good. But also, like, if we just recognize the truth that our primitive brain is programmed to keep us safe and keep us small, then the very fact that like our primitive brain is kind of piping up and saying something indicates that we're doing something that maybe is potentially risky, that is going to make things bigger. And if what you want to do is to create more possibility, then that's the direction to do that in, isn't it? So it's an indication that you're heading in the right direction. If things feel right and safe and good, it probably means you're not having as big an experience as you could potentially have.
Yeah, and also it's like, do things even feel right and safe and good? Is that the alternative, or does it feel like a little bit wrong, a little bit small, a little bit like I think it's like either one doesn't feel great, because if things like, there's some people that like they are never going to become a time coach, and like this does, am thinking about like actually another Sarah inside Time Hackers, and she's a PT and she's got a PT business, and like that's what she's working on.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe things will change because sometimes it does happen with our time clients. But as it stands right now, it's like she's come in to build her PT business and optimize her time and be more effective. So it's like there's not, this gap of like this feels a bit wrong in terms of her career.
Mm-hmm.
But I think typically what I find is like it's kind of, the word isn't bittersweet. Maybe as I speak, you'll help me with the language, but it's like that weird or that imbalance of like, I've decided I want to do something and then it immediately feels terrible. So it's like I'm longing for something and that longing is hurting me at the same, like not hurting me, but it's it's like the desire and the fear kind of coexist.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what's awkward because we're so, in fairy tale or Hollywood land, it's like, and then you just know, and it just feels amazing, and you never argue with Prince Charming, and you live happily ever after. And it's like, if we don't have that experience, I think we talk ourselves out of things that we want.
Yes. Yes. And then you're right. Then what we're in isn't actually comfort. It's like the discomfort of like self-restriction,
Yeah.
isn't it? Where like you're not actually going after what you want and leaving yourself open to just regret, but also just like you're having that smaller experience and you know it. Like
Yeah.
you know that it could be bigger.
Yeah. I think that is like, it feels safer, but it's like, on the flip side, let's go back to Sarah's literal story, where it's like you might have felt sick, you might have had fears and doubts, and there might have been a big part of you screaming like, retreat, go back to what you've known. But on the other side of it, like actually you have a fully booked business doing work that you love with flexibility and clients, and like it's like the problem is one is keeps you stuck, right? Like in the discomfort, and the other one, it's not the end of the story, it's the beginning of the story, and that's what we miss.
Yes, discomfort for a purpose, for the possibility, isn't it, rather than just discomfort.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to share it for my life, and I would love for you to share it for yours, so I'll go first by example. But when I invested like, I think my certification was like $20,000 or something like that. When I invested that, right, I'd quit my job, I'd moved countries, I decided what I wanted to do. I said no. 11 months later, I was like, please let me in. I'm going to do this. It was, a stupid decision by all accounts, really. Like, no one, even looking back, I'm like, that was a stupid decision by everything that I'd been taught. But now I live a life where I love my work. I have flexibility. I'm able to take my son like world schooling, which is like something I would have never even known about had I not, done this. Like the benefits aren't just like, oh, I get to like do some work that I like, and I still work 9 to 5. The benefits are, I don't work Fridays. I like, it's just insane. Even this morning, I'll just tell you, I was watching an episode of a series. The new episode came out last night and I didn't see it. I was like, oh, I really want to see it. I'm going to watch it this morning. So sometimes it's not even the big things. It's the like, I get to at 10 a.m. on a Thursday, after I drop my son off at nursery, I get to watch an episode of a show that I like without guilt, without shoulding. I think about who I am when he comes back from school and the excitement and the energy that I have. The like, and anyone who's doing that, because I have friends in that situation, it is so hard. I'm not saying you are doing anything wrong. The system is so hard. And I didn't realize when I just wanted to be a coach and wanted to help people and wanted to have meaningful work that I could have a better relationship with my son, with my parents, with myself, with, like all of this stuff. So I think like it's just been so much bigger. So I'd love to hear a little bit from you as well, how that's been.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely my experience as well. It was like about the work that I wanted to do rather than the wider life that I wanted to create that was the driver. And then this, in the same way, the actual reality, like there's so much more. Because I think like when you think about setting up your own business and about working for yourself, there's so much focus on the risk and the hard work required, and less focus on the possibility that's there. Because I think, like, just like you, the change in the relationship with my kids, we're also with my husband, and just the way that I approach things, like, well, this holiday, but also I posted recently about my older son, my 9-year-old, going away on a camping trip with his dad. It's a Cubs thing. They're both in Cubs. And just the fact that I had absolutely nothing to do with it, and I wasn't involved in the packing. I didn't even go and check that they'd packed like the tick remover thing from the ticket for the tick infested campsite. Like, that I actually just had absolutely nothing to do with it, and they just sorted all of that out for themselves. Which is not necessarily about me being a coach, but it's just about, like, that all of this comes together. I can't separate out, like, the certification in the business from the changes to my normal life, but also for me from a financial point of view as well. Like, this year I will earn more, and have already earned more than I ever earned in my previous career. And we don't talk about that. And not that, like, that's just happened like that, or it's been really easy, but the earning potential that I have in my own business, in an online business, is far greater than my background is in the charity sector and the nonprofit sector. And I, was a CEO, was at the top of my profession there, but there's very real limits on earning potential there. And I'm now able to have the possibility of changing that, whilst also I sit on the board of a local charity, and I have an input there. So, like, just like the way that my life is constituted is completely different, and it still includes the elements that are really important to me, but it has this, like, greater potential that I'm able to exercise as well.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point as well. It literally is, like, you've got to talk about the money side of it. Like, I don't, not because you did it for the money side of it, but it's real, it's there. And I also think when you are selling something, and this is how I, teach it when it comes to business as well, but I'm sure you've heard me probably speak about this in our team meetings. It's like, you always want to be selling something where the other person is getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah.
Right. But when you are selling something like, not getting burnt out this year, or being present with your kids and actually, like, not saying no for the 12th time when they ask you to, like, build a fort or give them attention, or, like, to put your phone down because you're on emails again, or like, exactly like you said, not overwhelming and spinning in one simple decision that's, like, keeping you up at night and having poor sleep. When you think about that, not just that one decision, but that skill, that, like, life changing, like, for the rest of your life, you're going to break this pattern that's costing you things that you cannot get back. You cannot get back that time with your 3-year-old, with your 14-year-old, with your partner, with your parents. Like, it is so valuable. So of course you can get paid well to do that, and you can sell it, and you can feel really good about making really good money and knowing that you're putting a lot of value out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, and I heard you talking about, like, time coaching as, like, the perfect career, and I've just been reflecting on that and how that's true. And just and like you say, it's not for absolutely everybody, but if it is for you, don't you? Like, I just love coaching. Like, I guess, like, when I'm coaching someone, I feel so much connection, so energizing. And then, like, to actually be part of someone making those changes is, like, it's such a good feeling. And then being able to do that, like, with possibility of paying yourself well in that process, is, like, it doesn't really get better than that.
I literally, because I don't love the word perfect, but I was really noodling on it, and I was like, I can't unsee this. I have to speak about it. Because I think you're right. I think that there's people listening to this. Firstly, probably anyone listening to this has even, like, that 1% desire, which is, like, just keep pulling that string. So I would say, like, probably if you're listening to this, you don't need to be, I'm 100% sure I want to be a time coach. We have people join that are like, by the way, I'm not going to be a time coach. I'm just going to use this for my career progression, for my other business, just because I want to go deeper on the tools, just because I want to spend more time in this like smaller group environment.
Yeah.
Some of them end up being coaches anyway.
Yeah.
Even if it's like for their team or for their own business. But I think but I do think it is, if you have that small desire, I think one of the big themes that's come out today, what I'm hearing from Sarah is like, it's better than you think it's going to be. And that's why I wanted to bring Sarah on, to be that example of like, but she's shared a lot more than I even thought of, which is so beautiful. So thank you. Is there anything that you would, or let me just backtrack a minute, because I want to close with like what you would say to anyone thinking about it. But I just want to share, because a lot of people are like, oh, I hate sales, I hate selling, I can't sell. Like, ugh. So how has it been for you, the experience of selling like this kind of solution? And you can speak about the evolution of how it's been for you as well, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, that has definitely been a lot of my work. Like I
Yeah.
felt like that's been, I mean, partly because I like, I've done 2 certifications, and one of them was this one, and like the up level that gave me, and the belief that it gave me in terms of the excellence in my coaching and the impact that clients have. Like I haven't really struggled with that part of it. Like the coaching is easy, like that bit goes fine, and then it has been like the marketing and the selling that has been more challenging. And there has been a real evolution. But but with the time hacker approach, that's has been quite fun, because it really has been about, like starting the first month full time in my business using Date My Goal, and it being like a real, like I had like a theme song, what it was now, but I had a theme song.
Love a theme
So
song.
just all I'll have to look that up, right, remind
Yeah,
myself what it was.
definitely.
But like that actually this is a fun process. And
Yeah.
I think also if you're a coach and you're into personal development, there's so much growth and development available to you through doing that work of learning how to sell, isn't there? So
Yes.
if you kind of, it's also fun from that point of view of like this is such a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
But then like you say, I think because this work is so needed, because like it's so universal, I don't focus exclusively on time, but it's part of all our lives, and so everything I coach on involves time. That it is an easy sell in terms of the need.
Yes.
And so that if you know the need is there, and also you really have belief in your solution,
Yes.
then that does make it a lot easier. And
Yeah.
so then it's about testing, like, well, what works for me, and like the more I do this, what do I learn, and do I get better?
Yeah.
Yeah. To answer
So,
the question.
yeah, absolutely. And it also drew out something else that I'd like completely missed, which is really powerful, which is how amazing it is to be able to say, like, I actually am an excellent coach. I can help my clients. Like, I'm not worried about getting on a call with a client and not being able to help them. Like, that's huge.
Yes. And thinking about like that sick feeling and how I was feeling when I started to the end, like there's a real contrast there in
Yeah.
my thinking about myself as a coach, because I was already certified. Like I believed I was a certified coach, but I didn't believe I was an excellent coach. I don't think at that point.
Yeah.
I mustn't have done, because then there wouldn't have been so much growth in that certification, and the way that I was kind of thinking about the other coaches. And to the end of that, and like this, it's been slightly less than a year since then, like I never have to get coached on that. Like that's not where I'm struggling. Like I know that I'm a really good coach. And I also like not just that, but I also have, I really see the value of me, my unique
Yeah.
style, like what I bring to coaching, which again is something that I think came from the certification. Like we're all so different, and the value in that. Um, and that has it's meant that I've been able to focus on the selling, because I haven't had to be coaching myself on like, can I actually help this person? Like that's just guaranteed.
And that is huge. I think it's like, it adds another level of complication to selling and delivering. I always think like our brain won't, okay, unless you are like, I think there are some people that are just amazing at selling and not amazing at delivering. But I think typically, you know, a lot of people attracted to the personal development world, especially like solopreneurs that will like make a conscious career choice to move it. Like, I think if you like, one of the reasons you might be struggling to sell is because you don't think you can deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think you can deliver and your brain is terrified of that happening, then you will not be able to sell because it's protecting you. So it's like there's one thing going through like, you know, understanding, you know, rejection and selling and all of that stuff. And I love how you spoke about the playfulness of it. But on the other hand, it's like, I just think there's always going to be blocks there when you are selling something. Kind of like if I was selling this another mug, right? That whole concept that we spoke about at the beginning of like, if you don't think you can deliver, you're not going to want to deliver.
Yeah.
Then of course you're going to sabotage selling.
Yes. Yes. And it's both like, one, that I've done this myself, and two, that I know and I have evidence that I've helped other people to do it as well.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so is there anything, by the way, that you want to share that I've not asked on? Because obviously, no, we've covered it. Just chatting, yes.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I wanted to say, because I know I always ask this when I have you guys on, but like here we are a year later, and I just think this is a really powerful opportunity for you to like connect with either that past version of yourself or the person that's listening, and like what you want them to know, what you invite them to think about, what you invite them to question. If they're like, if they are someone with just let's just even say that just 1% desire of like, this could be something for me.
Yeah. I think it also depends where your focus is. But for me, I would say, firstly, thinking about the experience of actually doing the certification, that then like there's just the impact of the deepening of the tools and the quality of the interaction and the support and the challenge that you get is really invaluable. So I would really just kind of emphasize the very, very few things that I recommend to other people. I only ever recommend something that I really have used myself and that I wholeheartedly believe in, and the certification is certainly is one of those. That the quality of the input and the quality of the support is excellent. And so I think that is, to just hear somebody say that, to have that reassurance going in, I would emphasize that. And then I think in terms of then your use of the certification and what you can do with that, I think it is that possibility point that I think, yes, building a business is not like, it's not just the easiest thing in the world. And certification doesn't do that for you, but it does. Although I know you're also offering business building workshops as well, which, so maybe it does, like that's a really good thing.
That's been one of the differences. Like now we want to help people become paid time coaches, even though some people are employees. And
so you're going to have support with that as well. But like nothing does things for you, does it? But what it does is it opens up possibility, and the possibility that for you to step in and to create that for yourself. And I would just steer people to seeing that possibility versus the like where our brain is going to automatically take us to the risk and the hard work. But let's equally see the possibility that's there.
So good. It's so important, and this is why I love bringing you guys on, because you just like offer these different perspectives and different ways to think. Because sometimes like when you're the one building something, you're like, it's so obvious, like come on. But actually we all still have human brains, and I think about that past version of me that gave myself permission to do something honestly ridiculous and stupid and really that was like not sensible. And I think it's like, it's just important to stand for what people want and not just for what they fear. And so I think it's so beautiful to really think, even for you, it's like, this is 1 year on, like think about where you will be 10 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, because of this decision. Like you're already earning more money, you're fully booked, and you are working with clients and doing work that you care about and that you love, and you're getting like, you know, glowing testimonials and emails and literally changing people's lives as well as your own within 1 year. Like, this is just the springboard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could easily have not made that decision because I had just done another certification. I was already certified. There is a way to see it. Like, in my mind, it makes complete sense now, and I can see the impact and what I gained from it. But there would have been a totally different way of seeing it at the time. Like, don't invest more money now.
Yes, now it makes sense. But typically at the moment, what's going to make sense is not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah. And where would I be then
Yeah.
a year on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably still thinking about the certification and being like, oh yeah, one
It's on
day.
my list.
Yeah, it's on my list. So good. Thank you so much for sharing. Everyone listening, we're going to have the link to Sarah's website or to have a call with her or social media, whatever she wants, in the show notes. So tell people a little bit about like how they can work with you, like, or what you really help them with, what you were saying before about the intersection.
Yeah, so I think like, with my background being, I was in management and leadership, and I tend to work with people who are wanting to make professional changes. And so, that might be a career change like I've made, but often it's like progression, promotion, new jobs, just having a different experience at work. But really, what I help people do is to do that and make changes to their personal life at the same time. I have, excuse me, people who come to work with me because they want those things, but they know that's not all that it is. Like, they're really looking at the connection between their work life and their relationship, or their work life and their well-being, and wanting to see improvement in both. And that's what I help people to do, is to make changes across their lives. And really, obviously what comes up is they think they don't have time, that they can't do that, that like either they give to their work life and their personal life suffers, or if they concentrate on their personal life, then they don't progress professionally. And so being able to change their relationship with time, which really is about changing your relationship with yourself, isn't it? Is often then what enables us to make those changes in both areas. So I help people with all different areas of their lives, but it's like, we're not just focusing on one thing. We're actually creating holistic change.
Amazing.
Across the board. And so, yeah, I am fully booked, but I do still offer free consultations, and I've just started a waiting list for one-to-one coaching. So people can inquire with me about that.
I'm just laughing. I'm like, if you want to work with her, you can't. No, I can't get on a wait list.
So I have started a waiting list, and I am planning to develop a group program offer likely next year, but people can sign up to my email list if they want to hear about that in the future, or to benefit from everything else that I share in the meantime.
Amazing. So for everyone listening, even if I think it's just also interesting to be like, oh, that's what I could also help people with in the future. I would love to do that kind of work in the future, or I want to do this work on myself. Obviously, if you are listening to this, it's because you do have 1% desire, at least, to, you are peeking in a little bit into this time coach certification for whatever reason. And what I can say confidently, which is really fun, that I've just thought about, is like, we've never had a single person regret it. So like, whatever doubts, whatever fears, whatever uncertainties you have. And I think what Sarah said is so like powerful, which is like, where would she be now had she given in to what felt comfortable and safe? And like, she could avoid the scary thing a year ago versus where she is now. So just celebrating you, Sarah. Thank you for being here, being an example. Thank you for listening, everybody. Like I said, you can always apply. We have lots of spots, and we have some calls, so we think it's going to fill up, but also there could be one space still left for you in the next round, or you can be first in line for the following round, at which point you'll get actually access to the time hacker tools immediately anyway. So like Sarah, she had 6 months to just get into the tools, which is fun. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Sarah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.